A very good morning to all. Today, we are going to discuss a new topic which is about joints. So first of all, what are joints? So joints plays a very important role in our body. So when two or more bones meet to form a joint, so point of contact between two bonds is called as joint. So a joint is formed when two or more bonds meet. Almost all joints allow movement. There are three different types of joints. So they are movable joint, partially movable joint, and immovable joint. So let's see what is movable joint. So what is movable joint? The joint that allows movement in all direction. That is like left, right, up, down. So you can move in all direction. That is the movable joint. What about partially movable joint? Which allows or which permits limited movement. That is partially movable joint. Then what about immovable joint? The joint that do not allow any movement. That is immovable joint. So now let's see the different types of joints. The first and the foremost one is the ball and socket joint. And this joint is a type of movable joint. So you all know what is a movable joint. The joint that allows movement in all direction. So in case of your shoulder joint, hip joint, all these are ball and socket joint. So in this joint, there are two bonds. So one bond is a cup-like cavity and the other bond fits into this cavity and allows free movement. So that is the ball and socket joint. So if you closely observe this picture, that is the first one, shoulder joint is a ball and socket joint. So in this picture you can see there are two bonds and one is a socket-like structure and the other one is a ball-like structure, and this ball-like structure fits into this socket and allows free movement. Coming to the next one, the hip joint. So hip joint is also a ball and socket joint. There are two bonds. One is a socket-like structure and the other one is a ball-like structure, and this ball-like structure fits into this socket and allows free movement. So that is why we are able to move our arms and legs in all direction. So that is the first type of joint, the ball and socket joint. Coming to the next one, that is the hinge joint. So this is also a type of movable joint. And this joint permits movement in back and forth direction. So let's take the example of our elbow. So this is our elbow joint. So we can move in back and forth direction. So this hinge joint allows movement in back and forth direction. Even your knees, your toes, fingers permits back and forth movement. Do you know how this hinge joint works? So this hinge joint works similar to that of the working of a door. That is, the door moves only in back and forth direction, not in any other direction. When you pull or push a door, it always moves in back and forth direction. So that is the hinge joint. It is a type of movable joint. Coming to the third one, that is the pivotal joint. So this joint is partially movable joint. So we learned what is partially movable joint. That permits limited movement. The joint which permits only limited movement. So the movement of our neck is due to the pivotal joint. So our neck joint is present between the first vertebrae and the skull bone. So how can we move our neck? We can move our neck from one side to other side. Even we can move our neck up and down. Even we can rotate our neck, right? Beyond that, the movement is restricted. So that is the pivotal joint. It is a type of partially movable joint which permits limited movement. Coming to the next type of joint, that is the gliding joint. So this gliding joint is also a type of movable joint. And this joint is seen in your wrist, ankle, and the first and second vertebrae of your vertebral column. And do you know how this joint works? So in this joint, two bones slide over each other. They slide over each other and produce movement. So that is why you are able to move your wrist in back and forth direction. Even you can move it from one side to another. Even you can rotate your wrist. In case of ankle also, you can rotate it. Even you can move in back and forth direction. Even you can move from one side to another. This is possible because two bones slide over each other and produce movement. Even we are able to bend forward, backward and sideways. That is because two bones slide over each other, and that is the gliding joint. So these are the different types of joint. The first one, that is the ball and socket joint. The second one is the hinge joint. The third one is the pivotal joint. The fourth one is the gliding joint. In page number 90, there is an activity given. Observe your little finger. In how many places does it bend? So there is a joint at every point where your fingers and thumb bend. So there is a joint between your fingers. That is why you are able to move your fingers. So you can just try doing it. Coming to page number 91 also, there is a small activity given. You can try doing that. So I hope you understood about this topic, that is about joints and types of joints. So in the coming class, we'll discuss a new topic. Till then, thank you.